like to welcome all. Yes, can I?
Good evening or good morning.
Good morning. Oh, what I said, good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's always
I said that
somewhere.
is somewhere. All right, so we have a chair. We have chairs. So I would like invite here Professor Anna Budzanowska, Professor Dr. Bianka Siwińska, and Director Bartosz Stawiarz. Okay, so once again, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And I would like to welcome all of you, both those present here and those joining us remotely. And I'm honored to be a panel chair for the 5th time during such a prestigious global conference like Climate Law and Governance Day. And I am delighted that this year the leadership panel developing education and capacity for climate law and policy, European and global trends is hosted by the Foundation for Development of Education System, FRSE, the National Agency for the Erasmus Plus program, and the European Solidarity Corps. And this is the moment that I want to say special thanks to Professor Paweł Poszytek, the Director General of FRSE, who will join us remotely today from Stanford University, because I appreciate him for his vision and horizons that allow us to actively participate in such exceptional global events like today's conference. Of course, a tremendous thank you to esteemed leaders who accepted our invitation, and I know that their voice, knowledge, and experience will contribute to the strength of our session. About our session, as I said, the title is Developing Education and Capacity for Climate Law and Policy, European Global Trends, a few words of introduction. In our opinion, teaching at every level, from primary education through high school, vocational training, and higher education, is in every society, in every age, is in fields such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, economics, environmental protection, law, technology, and its implemental requires providing intellectual integration of all these disciplines into a plan for sustainable transition. And these are actually words of Professor Piotr Mącarz. Therefore, legal support for the transformation of European and global education systems in the field of climate education, developing skills and competitiveness related to ecological, promoting ecological education, and raises awareness among youth and benefits of renewable energy sources, just transition, and green technology should constitute a key pillars of strategies and policies aimed at necessary changes in education system. Today, during our session, we will try to explore this topic comprehensively and answer the following key questions. Do we teach what's needed to create sustainable culture rooted in science, economy, and law leading to a just transition? How do programs like Erasmus Plus and other global projects support the development of green skills in 2021-2027 perspective? And why is climate education crucial for achieving a zero-emission economy and development of green technology of the future? How has interest in climate change involved in research at Polish and European universities? And what were the contributing factors and determinants? How does technology influence the development and accessibility of climate education and public engagement in pro-climate activities? How to make climate law more effective, new trends in higher education, using the example of the education reform at Polish universities. What are the impacts of climate justice capacity initiative on the students, lawyers, and the community? And what is the climate justice capacity initiative, and how does it help enhance legal capacity for environmental, energy, and climate law practice in the Philippines? So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to introduce and invite our first distinguished speaker. It's Professor Piotr Mącarz. We are honored to have in our leadership panel such a world-famous expert, and we are very grateful that Professor Mącarz has accepted our invitation. Professor Piotr Mącarz is adjunct professor at Stanford University. He is co-founder and chairman US-Polish Trade Council, vice chairman and chief technologist, XGS Energy, and top 500 innovators 2011-2015. And I could talk a lot about Professor Montas, but I think that everyone wants to hear what Professor Montas wants to share with us today. And the question that he shared his knowledge and response to the question, do we teach what's needed to create sustainable culture rooted in science, economy, and law, leading to a just transition? So, dear Professor, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here at such an important conference. The conference is not only important because of the topics that we are addressing here, but because it is happening in parallel with the COP28 meeting, which is as part of the series of meetings that are reshaping modern world. And with that introductory notes from Mrs. Magdalena Stryja, with her questions, you could see that she had 2 pages of questions, and if we started answering all those questions, we would be here for several days, and there will be some questions left. So that just outlines how huge the topic is that we are tackling here. Now to the education. Are we educating people to be ready to address those topics? And I will take you to a country of my roots, Poland, where I am originally from. Eventually, life took me all the way across the world to California, to Silicon Valley, Stanford University, where I am for more than 50 years. And the question is, Poland is not known as a very innovative country in the ranking academic world. And yet, in Silicon Valley, there is hardly any company that is a global company that doesn't have at the very top, not at the CEO level, but the very top in the suite of people who are shaping those global companies, people who are educated in Poland. So I continue asking myself, what's going on? If Poland can educate people so well that they are in such demand when they land in Silicon Valley or in some other innovative place in the world, why doesn't Poland itself become Silicon Valley, or at least the Finland of this world or something? It seems that it is the integration of the knowledge into action. How do we train people, beside giving them superb subject matter skills and knowledge? How do we integrate them into the system of action? And that takes me to the definition of innovation that we adopted at Stanford for many years now, and continue insisting that this is the only right definition. Namely, in order to have innovation, you have to have an idea of certain kind that is original, unique. Fine, technology, science, economy, those unique ideas. But that unique idea has to be an answer to a need. If you are not addressing certain need, then you are just working on getting $1 million in Nobel Prize, and that's it. You wasted your life. Also, Nobel Prize is not a bad thing to have. Okay, so you need to address some need. If you are addressing the need, that you created the, I would call it technological knowledge with the solving a problem. And there is one more element to it. You have to understand that things don't happen in a vacuum. In other words, you have to figure out where where are the resources going to come from that will finance this entire thing? It's great to wake up and say Eureka, and then you are known through history books forever, okay, for this one thing. Actually, this wasn't wake up, this was during the taking the bus. Okay, so that's beautiful. But if you are trying to develop something, it takes money, it takes research, it takes laboratories, it takes PhD students or people in the institute. So the finance has to be there. And then over the entire thing, this is like circles that are overlapping. And then the entire thing has to be in one big circle, which is called management. In other words, you have to know where you want to get, and then you have to form a structure to get there. When all this overlaps, then in the center is this tiny area of overlap of those circles. And that area is called innovation. So somebody is going to take on what you work on with the financing sector, with the business sector, and with the technology or science sector. Somebody is going to take it and say, thank you. And if it's an industrial product, hopefully will pay enough money so that you will recoup also the investment. That's innovation. Now, why aren't we treating our educational system the same way? The professor, the best teacher of mathematics, and then there's this professor, the best teacher of ethics in the law school, etc. And they all teach their own little area, and their circles don't overlap enough to create a continuum in the effort. So that's something that we need to work on in the educational system, the education. We have started at Stanford about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, a new school. What is a new school? Those of you who are familiar with American educational system know, but for European system, a school is like a university. So at Stanford is an umbrella name, but within Stanford, we have several schools. We have School of Law, very famous. We have School of Engineering, which produced basically Silicon Valley. We have School of Medicine, which is now a leading school of oncology in the world. And we have School of et cetera, humanities and science, of course. And now we form a school, we have School of Engineering, I mentioned, and now we form School of Sustainability. What is School of Sustainability? What is this business? Where that's an integrating school, the school that is going to take all the elements that are needed to address the, what we like in simple terms call the climate challenges. And we are going to have many aspects in the School of Sustainability. For instance, School of Sustainability immediately sucked in the element of School of Engineering from which I come, which is civil engineering. They sucked it in. The energy work that I have been working with, sucked into the School of Sustainability. There is a lot of interaction with law school. The socio-political aspects. I mean, just transition. How are we going to go through just transition, which means that we do it in such a way that we don't throw the baby with the bathwater, okay? That we fix a problem, environmental problem, by hurting some other aspects of the environment. And we heard it maybe not today, but in 10, 20 years, we find out. I mean, I will give you an example, and we should not be shocked that there will be such things happening. But when we went through the Industrial Revolution and machinery that was very much based on heat, right? We needed good insulating materials. Material science didn't know how to produce such good insulating, but nature did. The material was called asbestos. Wow, everybody used asbestos. I had parts in my house when I was young that I built out of asbestos cement plates, which I cut with a saw. Only later I learned that I was breathing something that is absolutely deadly. Okay, and we paid great price, horrible price as a society around the world for using asbestos. Okay, so let's not be so conservative that we will be frozen with fear. We have to take some risk. Now, this conference that has law in its title, this conference has to help the lawyers, the people who understand the structure of legal aspects of environment, to control excesses, but not stifle innovation. Without innovation, without trying new scientific solutions, without trying new technologies, we are not going to address the problem of climate and changes. The number of people in the world is growing. The curve is not slowing down. It's growing for two reasons. Even in the countries where people are having fewer children per family. The families of 10, 12 are luckily fewer and fewer in the world. But those children from the family with a smaller number of children, those children will live longer. They will live much longer. And the gap between the very developed countries and the developing countries in life expectancy is still huge, and it's catching up. So the population will grow. We know all this. So we need to develop solutions. Now, one of the aspects.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. Now I came to my absolutely passionate subject, and I am told that I have only 2 minutes. One of the big aspects is, of course, how do we handle challenges like water? Okay, desalinization. Oh, sure enough. Desalinization, however, requires energy. Where is that energy coming from? How do we handle heating and cooling of our cities? Energy, right? Where is the energy going to come from? Okay, so we went for wind, solar, we have nuclear, and we have one source of energy that as humanity, so far, we didn't use in any meaningful way. That's the very energy that is stored in the earth. Let me tell you, 50% of the population of the world, 50% of the population of the world lives within 10-kilometer distance from a rock which has temperature 450 degrees C. 95% of population of the world lives within 20 kilometers of 450 degrees C. 450 degrees C is very hot, let me tell you. Okay, so if we can get to that rock, and it's not actually any more question of if, when we get to that rock and we figure out how to pull the heat out of that rock, and some wise guys at MIT calculated that if we exchange the energy used today in the world by the heat from Earth's crust, then the amount of heat is such that we would change the Earth crust by a degree if we went through all the foreseeable lengths of existence of humanity. Okay, that gives me a level of comfort that we can start sucking some of that heat. Okay, so challenges, technology, legal. How are we going to treat heat? So I look in the law in United States, what is heat? And some of the law says heat is mineral. because you are taking it out of the ground. Where, if I look into my book of physics, nothing is more absurd than calling heat a mineral. So how are you going to have rights for that heat? How are you going to account for it? That's a legal challenge. The beauty is that the heat under your feet belongs to you, to your country, that we would stop wars over energy transfer from one country to another, wars of pipelines, etc. A beautiful challenge to think about. It's ahead of us. In next few years, maybe a decade or two, but no longer. So there are a lot of things that are happening right now that require the knowledge and integration of that knowledge into a package that will deliver value. And I know my microphone is already turned off.
No,
Thank you very
absolutely
much.
not. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor. And ladies and gentlemen, now we have situation that by my side is Professor Monza from Stanford University, but now we have connection straight to the Stanford University. And now I would like to invite Professor Paweł Poszytek, who will join us remotely. Paweł, do you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you and I
Hello.
can see you.
Hello, and a few words of introduction. So Professor Paweł Poszytek is Director General of the Foundation for Development of Education System, the Director of National Agency of the Erasmus Plus program, the European Solidarity Corps, member of advisory and consulting groups to the European Commission, coordinator of the country profile project implemented by the Council of Europe, authors of articles published by renewable publishers such as Cambridge University Press, member of the Scientific Council of the International Institute for Interdisciplinary Studies USA, member of the Working Group for Artificial Intelligence of the GovTech program at the Chancellery of the Prime Minister of Poland. And he is also promoter of developing close cooperation between education and business. As the Director General, a pioneer in supporting the vision of transformation of higher education through alliances of European universities, and also pioneer in research on the digital maturity of Polish, European, and American companies. And today, Professor Paweł Poszytek will share with us his reflections and answer to the questions: how do programs like Erasmus Plus and other global projects support the development of green skills in 2021-2027 perspective, and why is climate education crucial for achieving zero-emission economy and the development of green technologies of the future? So, Professor, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I wish I was there with you in the wonderful city of Dubai, but actually I'm exactly on the other side of the globe now. Yes, what I'm going to talk about actually for some time during those conferences, we've been promoting a kind of bottom-top approach in targeting the issues of sustainable development and Green Deal. You've already heard about some technology. Technology is actually available, but usually it takes a lot of time to implement it. The same thing happens with legal side of this implementation, that the solutions that we already have, or the solutions that we are dreaming about, usually are, they are not so much distance. They are available either entirely or to some extent, but usually it takes a lot of time to implement them because of many different reasons. You probably during this panel also listen about such cases and examples as well. So what we are trying to do is, well, we are promoting activities realized and projects really realized within European programs, within Erasmus Plus program. These are small, various micro steps, micro activities realized within different communities, local, regional, and obviously they impact in terms of the whole globe are not are not very big, but we think that that's the place where all this begins, especially that the funds are available. And actually immediately, if you have, if you diagnose a situation, if you have the idea how to improve the life around you in reference to Green Deal and to ecology, you can do it very quickly and effectively. Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes, yes, we can see. Yeah.
You can see, yes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so as you can see, we have European Commission has set 4 transversal priorities for Erasmus Plus program, and one of them is environment and fight against climate change. That's aside digital transformation. Actually, this is one of the most important priorities for this phase of the program. Okay, so as you can see, Erasmus Plus program is a key instrument for building knowledge and attitudes on climate change and sustainable development within the European Union and beyond. It must be also remembered that actually a few years ago, the program went global. So it's not only dedicated to European countries. Actually, all the projects, the examples of projects I'm going to talk about and show you, they can also involve third parties, the countries outside of European Union. So, you know, the aim of the program is to increase the number of mobility opportunities in green forward-looking domains, which is going to foster the development of competences and enhance career prospects and engage participants in strategic areas for sustainable growth. Erasmus Plus program, well, mobility is a core activity. Obviously, I'm going to talk about and tell you a few words about the projects, interinstitutional projects, but we have to remember that actually mobility is also in a core, mobility of different people who do not have a project yet, but who want to create some networks for further cooperation. This is one of the most important activities within Erasmus. So it also allows the creation of effective networks across Europe, but also outside. So an overarching aim is, again, just to strive for carbon neutrality by promoting sustainable transport modes and more environmentally responsible behavior. So as you can see, well, sometimes figures tell for themselves. So within the period of 21 up to 27, we have the new phase of the program. And so far, we still haven't reached the end of the phase, but so far, we already have over 700 projects worth over 50 million euros. And as you can see, Erasmus Plus program is actually targeting all the sectors of education. So among these projects which are financed, we have projects between youth organizations, we have school projects, we have the projects organized by universities to get sometimes together in cooperation with businesses. We have vocational education and training institutions involved, and also organizations which target adults. So within all the sectors of education, actually, we have different projects. You can see the examples here, general examples, that within school education, the program promotes environmental awareness and attitudes among pupils and local communities, including parental involvement. We have creation of green labs at schools. We have outdoor education and use of nature elements in integrated learning. These are just the examples. And within the youth program, we have building environmental attitudes among young people. We have the promotion of zero waste and recycling attitudes among peers, and in local communities. Within higher education, the aims of the program are to develop new curricula in the field of environmental protection and climate change, and to build green universities, for example, by installation of solar power panels. This is maybe a trivial example, but actually those higher education projects, in many cases, they are quite sophisticated, and they cover different areas of Green Deal issues. Okay, then we have vocational education and training. So we have implementation of internships. So if young people want to have an internship within the institutions which deal with, for example, renewable energy sources or environmental protection, they can do it. The other aim is to develop training materials in fields such as recycling and waste management, eco-friendly technologies in construction, sustainable development in agriculture and forestry, green propulsion, and photovoltaics. Within the adult education sector, what we promote is the accessibility of environmental education for seniors. We have education on responsible consumption, and the other aim is to implement environmental standards in the management of adult education organizations. Okay, so these were the areas, and now you can see the examples, the concrete examples of the projects. So the first example is building a nexus between green and digital. This project is being realized within the sector of vocational education and training area, and the leader is the Polish Farm Advisory and Training Center. So the title of the project is Developing Green and Digital Skills Towards AI Use in Agriculture. So as you can see, we have partners here from different countries. We have Sweden, we have Greece, we have Cyprus, and these institutions from these countries, they, as you can see, there are schools, and there is also research institution here. All of them, they work towards achieving the goals of this project, which is to interconnect between AI and agriculture, and in relation to skills needed to do that. The project also intends to upskill the existing and potential agriculture workers and entrepreneurs on the AI use in agriculture. So the impact which is expected is the enhancement of policy making towards the promotion of agriculture 4.0 and AI applications. So as you can see, even if the projects are realized by schools, they actually have a they have a heavy marital content. Okay. Sorry, that was a 6-hour flight from.
Dear Professor, there's 2 minutes because we are very stricted with the time. Thank you so much.
Yes. Another example that's again that's the cooperation between the Polish institution, Greek institution, and the institution from Cyprus towards circular economy. This is the example coming from the youth sector, and the leader is the Polish institution. Here, the aims of the project is to engage people in adopting a zero-waste lifestyle, but it's also to increase willingness towards the 5 R's rule, which is refuse, reuse, reduce, repurpose, and recycle. The expected impact of the project is to strengthen the professional profiles of youth workers by providing them with freely available resources. Okay, and we could go on and on with all these projects. Here there is another example realized by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So as you can see, we have schools, we have Chamber of Commerces, we have research institutions, we have also universities. Maybe let's go to a university example. We do not have a university example. But as I said before, usually the universities work towards creating new curricula implemented in the universities, curricula that could include all those Green Deal issues and prepare the students for the functioning in the future labor market, taking into account all the sustainable goals. Okay, so this is Erasmus Plus program. As you can see, these are not a kind of niche projects. There are quite a lot of them, and the numbers I showed you are pertinent only to Poland. So if you take into consideration what's going on in other European countries, actually the scale is really quite big and quite impressive. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and please so stay with us. And now I'm very happy to introduce our friends from Philippines, and now let me say a few words about them. Our next speaker is Professor Antonio Gabriel Lavina. He's currently Associate Director for Climate Policy and International Relations of Manila Observatory. In the last 3 decades, Dean Antonio has served many times as a lead negotiator for the Philippines in the implementation on conventions of biological diversity and climate change, including in negotiating in Kyoto Protocol on climate change and Cartagena Protocol on biosafety and the Paris Agreement. And he was a lead negotiator and spokesperson of the Philippines delegation during the 2015 Paris climate negotiations. And I also want to welcome and introduce to you Professor Aziel Ransnes. And she is a member of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. Currently, she is the resident attorney of Ateneo de Naga University College of Law. She is also the current program manager of Climate Justice Capacity Initiative and a collaboration between Client Earth and the consortium of all Ateneo's schools. So first Professor, then Professor Aziel. Dear friends, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Magdalena. I'd actually like to start by connecting the first two speakers from our colleagues in Stanford University to my topic, because my topic is legal education towards capacity building for climate justice. So it seems like very far away from the really great work that's being done on Erasmus, Stanford on innovation, but it's actually related. Because the question actually is, how do you get to compel that innovation to scale up faster than the problem that we are facing? Because all of these things are good, but if we're not going to scale it up as fast as the problem we're facing, then we're always going to be far behind. And I'd actually like to start by saying that I'm very happy to be here. I've always been doing CLGD for almost from the beginning, 2005, so almost 20 years since it started participating, speaking, even helping plan the activities around this day. Very, very critical for the climate process to work. And I have been in the process from COP1. Special Rapporteur Dr. Ian Fry, Special Rapporteur for Climate and Human Rights, is actually here, and we met. I'd like to say in our 20s, but actually we're probably in our 30s already there, on COP1 in Berlin, and worked together to get the Berlin mandate out that negotiated and that led to the Kyoto Protocol. It's, for those of us who have been there from the very beginning, it's very surreal to see where we are now. In the beginning, maybe there were a couple of thousand people. Now there's maybe 100,000 people here in Dubai doing this. So much activity from everywhere, even in education, right? I mean, all the universities are there, have booths, have pavilions. Many countries have pavilions. Companies are here, like a few thousand lobbyists from oil and gas companies. Of course, always more than 1,000 activists that are also here. And so you would like to think that if with all of this activity, we should be solving the problem, right? but we know we're not. I'm actually focusing now more on what happens after the Paris Agreement on the global stock take. We will implement the Paris Agreement, but we will know at the end of the day that this is not enough. And there needs to be something more radical after 2030, because the Paris Agreement is essentially up to 2030. And this is the context of what we're doing in the climate justice capacity initiative, which we are doing in the Philippines with 5 Catholic universities by the Jesuits. We call them the Ateneo universities, Ateneo de Naga, who's leading the work. Our dean is actually here, Dean Nina, and she might want to speak later on in the open forum. Ateneo de Manila in Manila, Ateneo de Davao, Ateneo de Zamboanga, in Mindanao, and Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan. And the idea is to build capacity, legal capacity, to challenge the government, to challenge carbon majors, to challenge at the national level and the international level, those that are creating the problem. Because you cannot compel innovation if in fact the business as usual continues. Because if business as usual is still profitable, they will wait until that it's no longer profitable. And so innovation, even as it happens, as we know it's happening, as we've seen it's happen, will not scale up faster if business as usual is still profitable. And so the idea of the Climate Justice Capacity Initiative in the Philippines, working with Client Earth and with the Foundation for International Law for Environment, is to make that compulsion happen in the Philippines, at least, challenging both our carbon emitters in the Philippines as well as our carbon majors internationally. Very big part of our work is defending environmental defenders. I was talking about Dr. Ian Fry, who was our special rapporteur on climate human rights. He just visited the Philippines and saw how bad it is in terms of environmental defenders and climate justice advocates being targeted. We're a little bit better now politically. That's why we're welcoming all the special rapporteurs to come. Even the International Criminal Court is being welcome. But on the ground, it is still very challenging. And so the Climate Justice Capacity Initiative is also trying to address that by developing the capacity, starting with law students to do that. And hopefully what will happen is in the future we'll be able to challenge. We had a learning event just lately where people exchange notes about how we could do this better. So I'll pass this on to Attorney Rasus done the on-the-ground work on this so that we are able to really have the impact we want.
Thank you, Dean Tony, for the introduction, and thank you very much for your warm invitation for me to be able to talk here and to share some of our experiences and the impacts of the initiative of Climate Justice Capacity Initiative, especially in our communities in the Philippines. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know this is my first time of attending the COP and the first time also of speaking before here in CLDG. But in conjunction with what Dean Tony has mentioned earlier with regard to Climate Justice Capacity Initiative, it acts as a powerful catalyst for transformative change across the students, lawyers, and the communities, because it only equips, not only it equips future legal professionals with a profound understanding of the relationship between the law and the environment, but also inspires a paradigm shift in legal practice, fostering collaboration, advocacy, and holistic approach to address the urgent challenges posed by climate change. So the ripple effect actually extends beyond the courtroom and the classroom, creating informed communities that are better prepared to navigate the complex landscape of environmental issues, thus ultimately contributing to a more sustainable and just future for all. As what Dean Tony has mentioned, most of our work is actually focused on building awareness about the significance of the rule of law in the conservation and protection of the environment. So part of that campaign actually entails training students in both international and environmental laws and educating them as well about the scientific and the socio-economic context of the consequences or the effects of the climate change. So for the students, the initiative has actually become a bridge between theory and reality, emphasizing the importance of understanding how the law operates beyond the confines of their textbooks. And just to share one experience, the students, while conducting their capacity building in the grassroots level in their local communities, they were able to see an actual violation, an environmental violation happening right before their eyes while doing their capacity building. So that's how they were able to see how the law actually affects everyone and how the law will be able to provide solutions to our increasing issues in our environment. So the program actually molds them into a better legal service providers by preparing them for the actual practice of the law. And instills in them the significance of dialogue as a means of expressing advocacy and highlights the urgency of addressing climate change issues. These students are just third-year law students, and they're being exposed as to how to write legal documents, how to conduct client interviews, how to actually talk to the people with regard to the certain problems that they are currently experiencing right now. Gives so much context for them in their studies. They're just not limited into the four confines of the classroom, but for them to be able to go out and experience what it's like outside. It's an enriching experience for all of them. And education extends beyond the classroom walls. So with emphasis that service to the people is actually service to the environment is actually service to the people. In training our law students, we got additional supervising lawyers who accompanied them during community engagements and paralegal work. So they would have constant communication with the students and how they give them guidance on how to answer to the queries of the local community members and how to conduct themselves around them. So they also serve as a liaison between the students and the community. For lawyers, the initiative actually serves as a catalyst for collaboration. It underscores the necessity of partnerships with local government, unit, and other civil society organizations. So lawyers are actually no longer confined to the routine of the legal grind. So that's the adversarial type of life. So they're now more exposed to a wider perspective, especially in the realm of climate litigation, fighting for the rights of the underprivileged sector of our community. So this paradigm shift for the lawyers, especially in the Philippines, they are now more attuned to the higher purpose of their profession. And that recognizing that without the world to protect, there are no rights to defend. And as a final note, the impact to our community as a whole. So we were successful in changing the perception of law as a purely penal in nature. And our society back home is very relationship-based. We are kind and trusting people. But with the initiative, we were able to establish that the rule of law is actually a safeguard for the less privileged against oppressive and abusive environmental violations. The people now know that they at least have the law to protect them, regardless who is committing the violation. So in conclusion, the impact of the initiative is not confined just merely to classrooms or courtrooms, but it extends to the very fabric of our society. So the program stands as a beacon, illuminating a path towards a more sustainable, just, and educated future. for all and for the future generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, because we are running out of time, so now we we have to speed up. So our next speaker is it's honor for me to introduce to you Dr. Anna Budzanowska, and she's former Vice Minister of Higher Education, of Science and Higher Education. She is member of the board of Euroscience, and she is a champion of European Capital of Science 2024. So, dear Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I try to draw. It's a great pleasure for me. This is my 5th time in this conference. So I try to show also local, national map what our perception, Polish perception of Polish higher education sector in addressing climate change. So for me, I'm like civil service officer, and on the second part, I'm also researcher. So for me, public policy is very important issue because I practice like an expert or policymakers sometimes, but also what is the game changer of the on the changes of the public policy. And the climate change, it's very difficult and complex challenge. And not even if it's recognized on the governmental level, it's problematic on the institutional level how to develop this challenge on the very milestones and when we see the efforts. So with my colleagues from the University, Nicolaus Copernicus University in Toruń and Silesia University in Katowice. Silesia is one of the most polluted part of the world. We decided to make the exams. What has happened in our sector, how it's changed after the COP in
2018.
18. Yes, thank you. So, the analysis showed that the Polish government, after 5 years, still, while not overtly committed to climate change. So we made only the how to say strategic policy document, but we don't have any special act connected with the climate change. We have different strategic policy documents like Poland's energy policy, Poland's industry policy, and a national science policy. And there are statements suggesting that climate change should be an important point, but it's only reference to this topic. So I think that this is huge challenge. So what we do on the governmental level, we try to, I would like to try to, yes, we need to follow the green European Green Policy, Green Deal. Without these principles, we didn't have money from European Union. So this is kind of the duties and obligation. So on this governmental level, it's so-so. So what has happened on institutional level after 5 years of the COP? So with our colleagues, we exams top 20 university in Poland, and we analyze this strategies document. It's also the obligation for the public universities since 2011. And we realized that it's only 12 for 20. They have expresses verbs, sentences connecting with the climate change, but nothing else. So we also try to find there is maybe special kind of the curricula or the studies dedicated to climate change. And it started after 2019, but it was not after the COP, but it was another European initiative. It was European, one moment, I forgot it's easy, but I forgot. the name, European University Initiative. It's a special program for the Alliance, European Universities Alliance, and established on the Erasmus Plus. And one of the pillars, like Pavel mentioned, it's Green Europe. And that's why our universities, which are part of this alliance, it's almost 20 of the universities, need to create the special curricula for this green and climate change topics. So on the institutional level, it's also problematic. But I saw plenty of discussion in Poland about the climate change, and we decided that we should also investigate the individual researcher. And it was great surprise that we have something like National Science Center. This is executive agency. A reference for this agency in Europe is European Research Council. And what we realized that it's on 2000.
2 minutes.
Okay, I almost finished. In 2016, it was only 3 grants for researchers which are interested in the academic context of the climate change. And now it's more than 100. So it's it's almost 30% of whole grants in National Science Center for the researchers. So I think that this figures it's very significant for kind of the, how to say, image, how to create the policy, national policy. We need to, because this is more a bottom-up process, that researchers are more interested than institutional level. So we should prepare the special program for the researcher to boost a little more climate change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anya. And we have 2 more fascinating presentation. So I would like now to invite, and I'm very happy that I can introduce and invite our next distinguished speaker, and Dr. Bianca Siwińska. She is an activist, researcher, and initiator of social and educational companies. She's the president of the Educational Foundation Perspective, the editor-in-chief of the educational magazine Perspective, a correspondent for University World News, and the author of many books and reports of internationalization of higher education, women in technology, and female leadership. And since 2018, she ran the conference for women in tech in Europe, Middle East, and Asia, Perspective Women in Tech Summit. And this year it gathered in Warsaw 10,000 participants, and it was the first climate positive event in Poland. So Bianca, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. We are about to finish soon, so I need to shorten a little bit my speech. I wanted to talk about 2 trends, global trends, which are influencing the climate change debate and solutions. But now I have time only for one, so I need you to vote which topic are you more interested. So the first topic is AI. The second topic is women. So please, who is for AI? Okay. And who is for women? Yeah, it's scary to be against women, yes. So everybody is voting. Yes, so women. Yesterday, I visited COP28 space, the whole expo and all buildings, and I went also to see a very famous women's pavilion, which was built for the World Expo, but it stayed. And now it's a part of COP28. So you can visit for free this place. I recommend it to you. It's nice, it's interesting, sometimes inspiring, but what I was lacking there was the information or link about the connection and link between women and climate. I think for the COP28, it should be, added to this exhibition. So I'm going to complete, information about this link. So first of all, women are more affected by climate catastrophes than men. And they are also economically, socially, but they also more affected during and meanwhile and after catastrophes. And because they are staying at home, they don't have money. They are responsible for children. They are responsible for delivering water, for example, to the household. So in this kind of catastrophes, they are sometimes 90% of all victims. What this happened in Sri Lanka, tornado, for example, 90%. So this is very strong link between women and catastrophes, and women already are more affected by the climate change. But there is another side of this issue, because women also more interested in the climate and the fight for climate catastrophe, and they have bigger knowledge about it. They are more ready to act personally to fight the climate changes. And as a leaders, research shows that as a leaders, for example, if there is correlation between the amount of women in parliaments and the inclination of these parliaments to take pro-climate decisions. And they are also more likely as CEOs of companies to follow pro-climate policies and to invest in climate solutions. And so women are really the hidden power of fighting with climate catastrophe. And what is happening right now? So in last 100 years, we had only one successful revolution, and it was women's revolution. I'm talking about revolution, even though the pace of changes was quite slow, because women, in fact, changed their social and economical position, and it was very, very, very successful at the end. And now this women empowerment, women taking over, women deciding, women demanding the seat by the table where decisions are made. This is what is happening right now. And it should be like this. Women should have as a 50% of society and 50% or even more of intellectual capacity of the world. They need to be, they need to be included, and they need to be involved, and they want to be involved. And as COVID pandemic showed, actually, women probably, as with this COVID situation, can deal with climate catastrophe in the more efficient way. And women also, as I said, interested in climate, interested in the general good, interested in social issues and in helping. So we can say that actually the women powers will save us probably. And I'm leaving you with this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And ladies, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, last but of course not least, I have the great pleasure to introduce our next two speakers who have prepared a joint presentation. It will be presented by Director Bartosz Stawiarz, and the presentation was created in collaboration with Professor Agnieszka Bielska-Brodziak. So few quick words about each of them. Professor Bielska-Brodziak, she has been accompanying me since COP24 in Katowice, just like Professor Anna Budzanowska, and she's a student and doctoral student ombudsman at the University of Silesia, legal advisor and vice chairman of the Bioethics Committee of the Silesia Medical University. She serves as the leader of the chair in bioethics, and Bartosz Stawiarz, Director Bartosz Stawiarz, represents, just like our boss, Professor Paweł Poszytek, and just like myself, the host of today's leadership panel, which is Foundation for Development of Education System, FRSA and Erasmus Plus National Agency. And he's director of the Regional Cooperation Department and the Erasmus Plus Sport Department. And Bartosz leads 7 cross-sector Erasmus Plus in-hubs in the largest Polish academic city. So Bartosz, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Oh. Raz. Oh. Thank you so much. Thank you for invitation. It's a big pleasure to be with you here. Of course, we don't have too much time for the presentation.
7 minutes.
7 minutes, okay. It's good to see all point of view for this topic, and I like to summary in some part today's panel. And I think the education, it's the bridge between the companies' innovation and society. And that's why Erasmus is a very important program for everybody, not only for the citizens in Europe, but also for the citizens from more than 100 countries, because it's a big program not only for the European Union. And we are facing on an evolution in education for sure. Maybe it's revolution, because we need more flexible education offer, not only informal, non-formal education, but also formal education. And Erasmus program are giving many tools to do this in practical way. And why it's important. For example, the World Economic Forum in the report, The Future of Jobs, show that 44% of workers will need to acquire new skills in the short term. Within the next 5 years, they need to have short courses between 1 to 6 months. So formal education in Poland and Europe, and I think so on the world, don't giving too much option for this in the formal education. That's why European Commission promote the micro-credentials idea, which can be the nice tool to have certificate for the skills. And on the action, one of the action of Erasmus program, which is European universities, we have the main goal to include the micro-credentials programs to the formal education. And I like to show you the one particular example. Maybe it will be something for you, for your universities too. because one of the university, Warsaw University of Technology, part of which is the part of the Enhanced Alliance with two leading European technical university. They prepared micro-credentials in the climate action program. And they prepared 4 modules for this. One is scientific basic for climate change. Second is methodology and tools to evaluate climate change. Next one is action for climate change, adapting and mitigation strategies, and climate action planning summer school. And they are doing all these modules in 3-4 months by the European Union funds, for example, in this case from the Erasmus program. So they help the engineers to understand better the climate change problems. Of course, it's important, of course, for the lawyers too, to have partners in the expertise, special expertise in the engineers society. So here in the Erasmus program, you can connect the two parts of society, like lawyers and engineers, by the Erasmus program. And also we are organizing the innovation centers in Poland, where we showing how to use Erasmus program on the global level, and how to help Polish organization to have more partners around the Poland by the Erasmus funds. So maybe last thing from the European Commission. Because the European Commission during the 2021 Porto Social Summit set the goal that 60% of adult Europeans should be in the process of learning until 2030. So we have some goal for Europe, but also for the world, because I think it's the same in many countries. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, we are dramatically out of time. So I don't know if we have time for questions. For one question. Okay, so please, bigger speaker. Okay, so please, if you have a questions to our distinguished speaker, please ask. Yes, please.
Just read from Middlesex University. I think somewhere it was mentioned that the Erasmus program is actually extending beyond Europe as well now. Yeah.
Yes, this Erasmus goes global. Mm-hmm.
How do like the universities outside collaborate somehow get involved?
In the mobility programs, yeah. In the mobility programs, of course, but in the partnerships grants programs, where you can, organize some education projects, courses, studies, for example, by the European money. We have special action for the countries not associated with Europe. It's capacity building, so you can have €1.5 million to implementing some new education idea in your country too.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you that you are with us. And thank you to our fantastic speakers. And we know we had one question, but my speakers and me, we are available during the break and during the lunch. So if you want to ask us something, very, very welcome. So thank you so much.